Hey everyone, it's John at Rain King LLC. It's time for a GMU Extra, and with the 4th of July holiday coming up, I thought we would do something a little bit more in tongue-in-cheek with the curse of the magazine covers. So, there's a common belief that magazine covers can be a contrary indicator. Usually, when a financial story or a market theme hits a magazine cover, the related theme is probably near the exhaustion level near the end of the trend. So it can become a contrary indicator. Now, the theory is by the time the writers pen an article on a theme, the move in the market has already occurred. And most of the market positioning and the sentiment are already priced in to the market. There's also, a theory that maybe some mean reversion can also be at play. If something is vastly outperforming and makes it to the cover of a magazine, it will likely possibly underperform in the future. So that's why sometimes covers can be contrary. And CEO covers can sometimes be very contrarian. Now, this is all very unscientific, but we tend to remember when it works and we forget when it doesn't work. So let's just take a look at the NASDAQ. This is a monthly chart, long-term chart. Jeff Bezos was the man of the year. And that magazine, Time Magazine, came out in December of 1999. Ironically, it was only 3 months before the ultimate market top. Amazon as a stock 1 year later after that cover was down 80%, 2 years, 94%. Now here's a classic. Right as the dot-com market peaked, the bubble burst, AOL and Time Warner merged in January of 2001. It was a huge merger. It was a $160 billion deal. And you can see Steve Case with a little grin on his face from AOL and the Time Warner CEO. Little did they know that 2 years later, they would have the biggest corporate write-off in history. They had to do a write-down of $98 billion. And more recently, in December of 2021, here's the Shopify CEO when he came onto the cover of Bloomberg Businessweek. 1 year after the cover, Shop stock was down 80%. And in April of 2022, Kathy Wood made the cover of Bloomberg, and they were talking about how great she was. And from that point, when the cover came out in April, the ARK fund was down 71% a year later. And even Tesla, happened with Elon Musk. He was the man of the year, Times Man of the Year in December of 2021, right near the peak in the stock, very closely connected. And 1 year later, the stock was off 75%. So that's where this kind of curse of the magazine comes from. Now, what's interesting is Brent Donnelly, who's a professional trader, and he also wrote a book called The Alpha Trader. He decided to actually look for some empirical evidence looking at magazine covers. And in 2016, he did a study, and I'm going to share with you what he learned. And he actually redid the study in 2021. Now, the financial media, they use lots of anecdotal evidence as either bullish or it's bearish. Now, what Brent did is he actually focused on 2 magazines. He focused on The Economist and Time Magazine. Now, anecdotal evidence is always subject to sample size issues and confirmation bias and, cherry picking particular evidence that you want to support your case. If you're very, very bearish on the market, you'll point to anything to support your case. Apophenia and patternicity is also important because that's human beings' disposition to see patterns everywhere. You look at the example would be if you look at the clouds and you see a shape, or you look at something as simple as an electrical outlet and you see a face. So humans do that connection very, very often and quickly. So the premise was, do magazine covers like The Economist and Time Magazine have any contrarian forecasting value? So the original study was done in 2016, and he reran and did the study again in 2021. And the methodology went as follows. He looked at the magazine covers, and he only chose the covers that referenced a clear market theme, or an asset class. And then he asked the question, can an obvious contrarian trade be justified by the cover? And then the third thing was, does the cover unequivocally make a statement on the direction of the markets or the asset class, either strongly bullish or strongly bearish, with either a message or an image as part of the cover? So next, what he did, once he answered these as yes, he would pick the asset class most connected to the cover story, and then he would follow it and track it. He used Bloomberg data to track the 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, and 2 year later performance of that particular asset class. And he looked at The Economist and Time Magazine. So what he learned initially was, The Economist magazine, the covers generally are much more negative in general than positive. He noticed that the ones he looked at that met the criteria were 39 of them were negative, 23 positive. Now, he attributes that to being just the general negativity bias of the media. Scary news and negative stories generally sell more magazines, and they sell more newspapers, and they sell advertising on TV. Now, Time Magazine, is not a financial magazine, so the covers are much more balanced, and there's not as many as you would have on something as like The Economist or a Bloomberg magazine. So here are the results of his study. The first block here is the asset performance after a bearish cover. Apparently, there were 39 covers. So if it's a very bearish cover, you would expect that the asset class would be negative 1, 3, 6, 12 months out. Well, here are the returns. Here's the average return, and then here's the median return. And you can see the percentage of the time it was a contrarian indicator. You can see 3 months out, it was a contrarian indicator 64% of the time. And 1 year later, the returns of that asset were up 12, 13%. On the bottom block is looking at the bullish covers. There were 23 bullish covers that he examined. And again, you would expect positive returns if the cover is bullish, yet you can see all the returns, other than a couple median returns in the 1 month period and 3 month period, everything's negative, particularly 1 month, 3 months, 6 months out, and it's 60% of the time it's contrarian. So it's kind of fun to look at these things and just look at them a little bit more of a statistical way. So the summary that Brent made was that magazine covers are pretty good reverse indicators. He also said that there was strong evidence out of the gate and about 1 year later, as we showed on that chart. He also noticed that currency, foreign currency, if it's on the cover, they're contrarian, but not by much because currencies aren't nearly as volatile as equities and other instruments. He did say the Economist covers are very bad when they were flagging directions on commodities. And he was very specific. He said oil, in particular, the Economist actually flagged all the major turns from 1999 to 2016, and they were all contrary. And he had an example of that I'm going to show you. So here's a monthly chart of oil from 1992 up to the current. And this March 1999 article was The Economist was drowning in oil. So it was saying there was so much oil that oil prices were going to come down. And you can see right after the magazine cover came out, oil prices went up. When they went up, there was by September of 2000, The Economist wrote an article. The cover article was, "Is oil poised to strike and go higher?" And we had a correction. Then by October of 2003, The Economist wrote an article on the cover, "The End of the Oil Age," saying that oil was going to come down in price and it was the end of oil. Well, you can see that was right about the start of a major bull run in oil. Now, by December of 2007, Time Magazine had Vladimir Putin on the cover as the person of the year in December of 2007. And the timing couldn't have been worse because the oil market was just about to bust and was going to drag and have severe impacts on Russia's economy right after he was named person of the year. And in May of 2008, oil had reached, I believe it was 135 a barrel. And there was all talk about the bullishness that we were going to get to 200, 250 a barrel for oil. You can see short after that cover, things came down dramatically. So interesting that the prediction of oil was not the forte of the economist. So hopefully you enjoyed that lighter topic today, the curse of the magazine covers. That's our GMU extra for this week. I hope to have you join me on the next one.